First of all, thank you all for coming, and thanks go to, of course, all of our distinguished speakers who've come from mostly very far away to be here. But in order for them to be here, we had to create a situation that would allow for that, and we have had incredible support from the city and the community at large, including Brown-Forman, the city of Louisville, and certainly very much encouraged all the way by our fabulous mayor, the Archdiocese of Louisville, Earth and Spirit Center, the Muhammad Ali Center, Louisville Public Media, DGI, the Thomas Merton Center, Fons Vitae, Compassionate Louisville, the Idea Festival, Val Jones and the Whiskey Row Lofts, and Christy Brown. Yes, applause are well worth giving. Our festival office, run by Dr. Kathleen Lyons, along with Chris Wooten and Sarah Harris, and a tireless group of support to them, have made the back office, back of the house, backstage reality go incredibly well. And to them we also owe a big thanks, so thank you for your applause there. Since you know or might have guessed that more or less the theme of the festival is to do with contemplative practice, I'm happy to say that Father Joe from the Earth and Spirit Center has put together a handout which is in the lobby that includes the Louisville relationship to what he calls meditation opportunities and contemplative practices. It lists in a very impressive way all the opportunities, whether you're interested in a Buddhist orientation or Christian or interreligious or non-denominational, and they are ready along with a lot of other goodies, including our catalog, which we have as a gift from us to you, available along with our program. And if you haven't seen our program, please do take it home with you, as it will tell you exactly what's coming ahead, including our 2 programs this afternoon, well, one this afternoon and then one later this evening. Also, we are very pleased to tell you that we are streaming live on the internet through the festivaloffaiths.org website, and you can find any of what's happening here in case you want to watch on your iPhone simultaneously to watching here on stage. You could do that, actually, but really the point is, of course, for those people who aren't here, you can tell them if they can't make it down to feel free to look at the internet, and also everything after it's been streamed live will be up on YouTube, and already is. So if you know that there are programs you didn't see and you wanted to see, please feel free to search for them by name right on YouTube. And let's see. Are we doing the cell phone thing? Everyone want to make sure their cell phones are turned off. And then I think, is that about it for the housekeeping? Mm-hmm. Okay, and Gray's going to, this is Gray Henry, who has been my co-programmer, co-soul, and really the mastermind behind this afternoon's program, who's going to introduce to you our speakers.
You know, I really just want to speak from the heart. I love Arjia Rinpoche very much, and we've had a few years good friendship, and my new friend, Rajiv Mehrotra, has come all the way from Delhi to be with us. We are extremely delighted to have a student of His Holiness, who also was entrusted by His Holiness with the Nobel Prize funds to create the Institute of Human Responsibility. And also, he's a filmmaker, and he does in India incredible series on some of the great spiritual beings in that universe. So let me read. Arjia Rinpoche is one of the most prominent Buddhist teachers and lamas to have left Tibet. He is trained with lineage teachers such as the 14th Dalai Lama, the 10th Panchen Lama, and Gyayak Rinpoche, from whom he received many sacred teachings and ritual instructions. He excels in the knowledge and understanding of Tibetan art, architecture, and the Tibetan language. In 2005, the Dalai Lama asked him to become the director of the Tibetan-Mongolian Buddhist Cultural Center in Bloomington, Indiana, to which our own Muhammad Ali went for the opening. He moved to Bloomington in February 2006, where he has renovated the center and continues to promote Buddhist teachings and Tibetan-Mongolian cultural events. And any of you in Louisville who haven't visited this center have a great treat in store. Rajiv Mehrotra studied at the universities of Delhi, Oxford, and Columbia, which prepared him for an impressive career in the media, including documentary filmmaking and hosting talk shows on public television. He has also authored a number of books, several on the Dalai Lama, reflecting another aspect of his life and interests. Rajiv has been a student of Swami All right, and of the yogi icon BKS Iyengar. Now a personal student of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, he describes himself as a most unworthy chela. His films have won more than 150 international awards and 20 national awards, while his television show, In Conversations, was rated the most watched program in its genre in India. Currently, Rajiv is an independent filmmaker, producer, and commissioning editor. He's the managing trustee of the Public Service Broadcasting Trust and chairman of the Media Foundation. In addition, he serves as the secretary and founding trustee for the Foundation for Universal Responsibility of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. How honored we are to have two gentlemen with us today who in fact both have personal and intimate relationships with His Holiness. Let us welcome our two beloved friends.
And while Rinpoche and Rajiv are coming to the stage, I'll ask them if they wouldn't mind helping us manage a new tradition which we have been beginning and ending our sessions with moments of silence. So if you were in the mood, would you be willing to kind of wing it on about 3 minutes of silence that we could begin and end with the Dharma? And then also, if it would be to your liking, it would, I think, be marvelous for us. We could end our session with a session of silence as well. That would be great. Thank you.
Not only am I a most unworthy student of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, but I feel deeply humbled sitting here in the presence of a great master. And may I request you to say a few words that would lead us into a few moments of silence. Since silence can sometimes be difficult, perhaps you will give us a worthy thought or an idea that we could reflect upon silently.
Thank you everyone. And thank you, Jayla, give me that opportunity. When we do meditation, the silent meditation is more powerful. When you're driving a car, have a very serious situation in front of your car, you might silent, you might turn off the music, you might hear anything, from your, other friends next to you. So that means we're focusing on something, and the result is create great caution. So silent meditation is we shut off our 5 senses, eyes and nose and so forth. So that's 5 entrances for the mind. So if we shut down all of the entrances, the mind will have a great calm, and the result will have inner peace. So for that reason, we'll like to do 3 minutes, right? 3 minutes silent. So I will ask our friend Jela so to ring the bell, because the meditation mainly from Buddha. So Buddhist practitioners for. Then Buddhists from India and Nepal. So we always honored the Indian fellows, our great masters. Then please you lead that meditation. Then we will do a 3 minutes silent meditation.
Rinpoche, the week has been dedicated to sacred silence. And why do we consider silence to be sacred? And silence, real silence, so difficult to achieve? And not just the absence of sound, but something, a deeper, more meaningful silence. And sometimes silence shared can be a very powerful communication between a student and a teacher. So could you illuminate for us the relationship between the sacred and silence?
Thank you. My understanding for the silent, actually the silent, I just mentioned before, so try to shut off our other 5 entrances, then let the mind calm and meditate on one point. However, when you're silent, you can't talk to each other, you can't hear others, but more powerfully, inside have a connection in between us and between the inherent nature, which is the Buddhahood. So the meditation for us, very important, especially the Tibetan Buddhist emphasizes two kinds of meditation, single point meditation and analytical meditation. If you have an analytical meditation, so whenever you read a book, or you read a prayer, or somebody's very powerful, beautiful poem, or mantras, so when you say that's mantras and verbally, then you concentrate on this one, then your mind can stay in that one point. So single point meditation is no any sound, no any other actions, just the mind quietly thinking one point thing. So this is very, very difficult. However, when we practice, most important thing is the silent meditation. When you have that's a silent meditation, then your mind peacefully can focus on one point or one your main goal or target. So in that time, I guess the masters and the students have inner connection. So actually, we're talking about the emptiness. So emptiness, actually, another word is the cause and effect. So that kind of cause will bring the great understanding of the whole nature, which is the understanding of the emptiness. So through this silent meditation, I think only we can do that. So that's why the silent meditation is very, very important. Under that kind of condition, when you say prayers, when you do good things, for instance, in Tibetan tradition, we have that, sort of spiritually divination. So when you do the divination, sometimes the masters can't hold the truth. So that's a kind of a mysterious thing. However, under that condition, they will know something. So sometimes we always say that you read my mind. So what kind of condition you read that person's mind because of the silent? So I guess that silent meditation is very, very important, also very, very hard. Thank you.
The Tibetan Buddhist tradition from the Eastern civilizational heritage of India has the most sophisticated mind training techniques. Exactly. And as you yourself said that many of us idealize mental states, but we find it very difficult to achieve. We listen to the words of a great master, we hear them, but we aren't able to convert them into our deepest reflexive responses. So you might say that be silent, but we don't know how to be truly silent, or that anger is a negative emotion and we should control our anger, but we don't know how to control our anger. And I think that also is a reflection of teachers, that you will have people who are erudite scholars of the teachings, but unlike people like His Holiness the Dalai Lama and other masters such as yourself, actually embody those teachings and give us the hope and represent the possibility that it is achievable. We will come to some of those, and we will open this up to the audience later, so there will be an opportunity for questions for all of you. But going back and starting perhaps with your own story, you were discovered at age 2 as a reincarnation of your predecessor, but very soon, the repression, Chinese repression, started when you were, 8 years old. There was a cultural revolution was happening by the time you were 14. So in a sense, you missed out on what would have been the traditional training period, and it can be quite hard and a stern, strong discipline for a Rinpoche in particular, because much is expected of him. So you missed out on that, and yet you embody those aspirations for a Rinpoche, and particularly someone who holds office and a major monastery, the Kumbh monastery in Tibet. So what were your practices that has enabled you to be who you are? and despite the lack of a formal context to do that.
Well, we always talk about the karma. So karma is a foreign language to the Westerners. They will have a very well understanding of karma. Actually, the karma literally translation is the action. So when you do something, you will have a result, which the whole process is action. So you will bring your karma. So we learned that's karma since we were very young. Jila just mentioned 2 years old. Then I was recognized by the abbot of Kumbh monastery's reincarnation. Then I went to monastery. Later, maybe our audience have interesting questions. I will answer that. However, then I went to monastery. Then I started to learn languages and prayers and so forth. Maybe one of the most important topic is the karma. So the karma, I guess, the karma bring me everything. My previous life created that condition. Then in this life, I will receive all the result of the karma that previously had. So my life practice, of course, you mentioned that. Compared to the other monks, I never had the chance to study that whole the debating and everything. That's through the internet and the TVs and so forth. Then you will see the monks debating. So I never been in that kind of chance to study and everything. Then also, he just mentioned, when I was very young, I went to monastery. I grew up in the monastery. The monks, even though they don't know how to take care of a little baby, 2 years old baby, but they very respect me as the previous Rinpoche. So then I was treated very, very nice, like a little king. So then I stay in a big mansion. I have around 10, 20 people serve me. My own, like a cook and, the helpers and the tutor and everyone. So after period of time, when I was the age of 8, and then the whole thing changed. Then I almost became homeless. So because my tutor and my parents, my father actually, they all went to jail because there's no reason because of me. Then after that, so nobody's taking care of me. Before was, very well pampered. Later on, nothing. So that's a big change. So then I spent 16 years in working the field as a farmer. So then no freedom. That's all. I'm looking back to them. This is my chance, my karma to practice. Actually, I practice a different way. So every religion in this world, they have their own point of view of their understanding and achievement and practice as well. I'm thinking myself, compared to our elder monks, I never had this chance. However, I had my own way to practice. So later, maybe you have more questions, then I will answer. But my point is, the the karma is most important. Then the karma made me, already made that arrangements for me. So of course, I additionally can make more, and that's become more maybe meaningful and maybe busier. Other than that, I was spent almost 50 years in Tibet, in China. Then 1998, then I came to West. Then I became, recently I became a Hoosier. So that's all of them. Because of my karma, I never had that plan before. So this is my practice, I guess. So
You've talked about karma.
Yes.
And what's implicit in that, and I think that is a topic that is certainly interests practitioners and perhaps non-practitioners tend to be very skeptical, is the notion of reincarnation. You are a reincarnate Lama, and what you're really saying is that it was your karma, or karma of your predecessor, and I think there's an area of confusion whether you were or are a reincarnation, the you of the previous Arjia Rinpoche. So what is reincarnated is a question that we find very, very difficult to understand. I can see the basis of causality, that something creates something else, and so if we start going backwards, then and you have most amply demonstrated that it has to be is a carryover from a previous life that you were able to so quickly assimilate in this life teachings, or just bring them back to consciousness. But what is reincarnated? Is something reincarnated? Is it an entity that is reincarnated? Is it a quality that is reincarnated?
yes. I will try to answer that, because so often when I talk to people, they always ask this question. So that's our Jila also, I guess, interviewed His Holiness many, many times. Then also great masters. So then he asked me that same question. Actually, my understanding is you want to share that idea with others. So that's
I don't know.
So the reincarnation, of course, for the non-believers, very difficult to explain it. Then the reincarnation Buddhist idea is everyone, even the animals, even your dogs, you might have wonderful dogs, accompany with you. So all of them have a rebirth. So the rebirth, not necessary to find them, also almost impossible to find every rebirth, to recognize. If you try to find your dog's reincarnation, that's maybe a little hard. Maybe through the procedure you might find some information, but the idea is when the great masters in Tibet, when they passed away, they try to find the reincarnation of the master to continue to hold the lineage and giving the teachings and the practice. So this is the main goal. We did that. So for my own case, people so often ask me, so you're the reincarnation of the seventh Arjia Rinpoche. So the Arjia means in our local language, in Tibetan, is father. So the father is very interesting because, they call me all the time Father Rinpoche, right? Arjia Rinpoche, Father Rinpoche. So when I came to West, I met some dear friends. So those are Catholic fathers. So we call them father. Then when I call Father Richard or Father so on, then inside me, I'm thinking, same as my name. So, so anyway, I'm the father of the Lama Tsongkhapa's father's reincarnation. So then people so often ask me, you are the reincarnation of Lama Tsongkhapa's father. You must remember your previous life, you know. You might know that. You might know you can recognize everything, or then, unfortunately, I always said, no, I can't remember anything. However, there's a very interesting thing I would like to share. So some influence we had. I would like to share a little story. So my previous Rinpoche is a very great scholar. He unfortunately passed away very young in his late 30s. Then he's a scholar. He just only focused on, studying and writing and reading, almost as a Buddhist nerd, I guess. So then his two friends are very different than him. They study very well, but they do lots of different things, painting and doing the sand mandala and so forth. So then he always, kind of blaming them. Said, you should study more when you were young. You shouldn't play like those kind of nonsense thing. He always said that. So anyway, after their graduation, traditionally in our monastery, we have to make a sand mandala. When they make sand mandala, he can do anything, because he never learned that thing. Yeah, the statues and doing this person and the animals and everything in this mandala, he can do it. And then he was really kind of disappointed or a little regressed. So then he said, oh, the art is very important too. I should learn that. Then what can I do for you? Then he making notes and so forth. So later on, he always making a wish, like in my next life should be an artist too, because this is very important. That's he always making that kind of inspirational prayers. So when I was young, I never been to school and studied this art and architecture and everything. So kind of by naturally, I learned those kind of things. Then one of my uncle, he is the classmate of my previous Rinpoche. Then he said that is the karma. This is the, kind of something from your previous life. So that can be evidence for you. You are the, the last person. So anyway, so that's I would like to share, because except that I really can't tell. I can't say in front of people tell lie. I remember in previous that something. I can check my books or something. I can hear my friend. I can find out what's he did in the previous life, but I don't want to say that with you. So those are kind of the reincarnation's idea.
So you must be one of the few Rinpoches who in some ways are perhaps, not a very happy phrase to use, but say grateful to the Chinese, that you didn't get spoilt, being indulged as a child, and that you were put to work on the farm. And that must have given you qualitatively a completely unique and rare set of experiences for someone in your position.
Right.
So what did you learn from that? And in what ways was that period? Let me sort of expand that period and say right up to sort of, after the time on the farm, and you were inducted into the Chinese, you were a Chinese government official. Then they wanted you to join the Chinese Communist Party. And so that whole period, what were some of the key lessons you bring away with you into exile? Because most of the monks, the senior monks and lamas, escaped before they actually had to engage with the Chinese, or were imprisoned and brutalized. But you had a more public, open engagement with them. So what did it teach you?
Actually, told the truth, we didn't have any choice that time. So only this is our opportunity. So for us, young people, I can't say, oh, I'm great, I practice that way, But, really kind of had great messages and encouragement from our teachers, masters. Those people are very, very special to me. So I just mentioned one is the Arjia Rinpoche, who is my uncle and the previous Panchen Rinpoche's teacher, main teacher. During the Cultural Revolution, he and we all working together. We are staying in one, what we call the production team, kind of concentration camp. We're in the same place. Then another person is my own teacher. Actually, that's very interesting. My own teacher is the Mr. Noble, Professor Noble, or His Holiness older brother, his teacher. So then we both are same teacher. When he left in 1950, then I was born in 1950. Then I went to a monastery right after. Then the monks invited him as my teacher. So that's why we both are same teacher. So anyway, those two people very, very influentially for my life. So their practice really, really, I learned something. They when they work in the fields, not easy, especially the Arjia Rinpoche with a hat. So that's the idea of a hat. That's Chinese communist creation, so you never know. So the hat, physically, sometimes you have to wear a very tall hat. Usually they made by a newspaper, so they have a name on it. They kind of torturing you. You have to have that's insulting you and denouncing you. Then you have to wearing that hat. So sometimes without that hat, physically nothing there. So they named that person have a hat. Then that person have no freedom. So if you go somewhere, you have to ask permission. That's kind of house arrest, So he has this hat. So he has to report to the officials so often. So he doesn't have any chance to go to different town and like that, only work in the fields. Then he always teach us. So two things he told me. One thing, the life is our chance to practice. Every day what's happened, that's you can practice. So this is very important. Then the second thing, he always encouraged me to study, learn. Even during that Cultural Revolution, almost we can't hear any, we can't have any sutras and Buddha statues. No way, you can't have it. Once you find out something, you are, counter-revolutionary. So that's a big problem. Maybe they can put you in jail or something. So we can't have it. But I always saying that's the Indians are same, I guess. The Tibetan High Lamas are everything they put in their mind. So today we can go to internet to Google it, right? So those are life Google. So the teachers are really, they knew everything in their mind. So they teach me, they encourage me to study. So that's why the study also became my important practice. Then the daily life, what happened to you? So of course, under that kind of condition, not great, And when I come to West, I find very interesting and very surprised too. In our Eastern culture, maybe in India have the same thing. The kids with you always tell them to don't do that, don't do that. Here in the West, say encourage them to, oh, good, wonderful, you do it. You did a great job, like that. So that is different, right? So in our lifetime, especially that time, there's no, appreciations or, admirers. So only kind of complain or criticize them and even denounce. So in that time, what you have to think, how to, face to others. So this is a great practice to me. So afterwards, after that's a cultural revolution, after everything, so some people really, really difficult to us. They can't do that. So they just kind of order us. They in charge us. So later they became a great friend with us. So then I learned something from the practice. So those are kind of my practice and my own experiences. So I had lots of things, but if I can't tell the details or specific one, then I can't make very clear. So that's a kind of my answer for your question.
Having come to the West,
Yes.
Have you struggled with the imperative that we feel here for instant varieties of everything? Which really means that in your tradition, and we're talking here of lifetimes of effort, and even within this lifetime, the long, extended sadhana that you have been through so that you are who you are. And many of us, aspire to be like you, to be like His Holiness. It sounds very precocious, but I think that is what the Buddha taught, that he was human and that any one of us can, through practice and effort, get there. But I think we tend to lose sight of the fact that what he was also saying was that, we're talking in terms of eons of time. And we in our society today are looking at weekend courses to enlightenment. How do you deal with that? I mean, if you say to someone, well, this is the practice and it's going to take you, eons of time and a few eons of lifetimes to get there, most people will just give up and walk away. I mean, who has the patience? Yeah. So how do you deal with helping people recognize that this is not something that's going to happen that quickly?
So, yes, enlightenment, which is a big topic and almost our destination. So how to get an enlightenment? So that's also according to another question I'm thinking all the time. So when I come to West, so Western people practice Buddhism and analyze the very specific some topics or doing retreat and everything very differently. But that's also benefit the society and the personnel. So often people say that when Buddhism come to West, so the Buddhism, how much influenced the West? Same thing, the other way around. The West, how to influence the Buddhism. So I guess this is a very important question. So in Tibet, we have our way to practice. So that's compared, and that's ancient Buddhist practice, maybe different. So I had the chance to visit Oxford this spring. Then I stayed at the Vihara. Actually, I had some schedule with the university, but I stayed in the Vihara, which is Thai, Burmese style temple. So the abbot of that Vihara called the Venerable Dhammasami. So Venerable Dhammasami so often did that. So the regional Buddhism is different than a little bit, the Mahayana tradition or the Vajrayana tradition. However, they benefit them. So that's why they can practice that way. So same thing, I guess, come to West, the Western Buddhism is very different than somehow Eastern Buddhism. In Tibetan Buddhism, may be different than the ancient Buddhism. So if you go to a Chinese restaurant in downtown Louisville, so you Western people might say, "Oh, great, that's delicious. Oh, that's Chinese food. It's different." So if you bring your friend, Chinese friend, to the restaurant, they say, "Is this Chinese food?" They will say that. So same thing. So that's really every society have their needs, and they changed. So the enlightenment is our goal, of course. Then through the, have to practice many years. In Tibet, in fact, we have some people we mentioned as enlightened men, like Milarepa and Pema Sambhava. Pema Sambhava actually is an Indian master from India. Then also Adisha and Lama Tsongkhapa and so forth, not lots, but several of them. We considered they're enlightened men. They get enlightened. Even the Milarepa is a great master, great yogi. However, before he was a murderer, he killed lots of people. So through his black magic, So, but the idea is, even you're a bad person, you give up everything, you practice properly, then you will have that enlightenment. This is the message. So my understanding is enlightenment is our goal. We can achieve anyway. So before that, practice is the very important thing. So that's why both the Mahayana tradition or Vajrayana tradition always emphasize the bodhisattva vow. So the bodhisattva practice, that is very important. That means don't go to the stage to the enlightened yet. You come back and you join the samsara and work. So that's most important. So that's why one Tibetan person made a joke. I would like to share that joke. Somewhere also I mentioned that too. So very interesting, but that's, somebody said, somebody passed away. And then he went to heaven, which is the place of enlightenment. Then he went there and everybody just meditating and chanting and prayers, no more interesting. Then he want to visit the hill. He went to hill. Oh, everybody has different costumes and having fun. And then what's going on here? And then said, oh, today have a Halloween party here. So that's a kind of, then he decided to stay there. So that's just a joke, however. So in the mind stage, I guess. In your mind, if you're in that very high level, you can see through everything, so that is the enlightenment. If you can't see through them, that's everything happened to you, it's a great obstacle or something, then you're in samsara, even if you're maybe in the hill. So that's why we always say that sometimes people walking on the desert, very hot, they find a half bottle of water. Then some people said, oh, even I find the water in that desert. So this is a gift. That's mind in nirvana. That person will find us complaining, the sun is hot, even half bottle, who drank this one? That is in samsara. So that's why I guess, that's mind stage. So we keep practice, so we enjoy ourselves, so we're in the right track. That's what I'm thinking.
One of the major aspirations of this festival that we are privileged to be a part of is also to reach out to His Holiness the Dalai Lama's prayer, in a sense, that for interfaith dialogue. And much more than mere dialogue is harmony, is understanding, is coexistence. But he has moved beyond the notion that we certainly have in India, enshrined in our constitutional aspiration of unity and diversity, to the celebration of diversity. And in what ways can we, as individuals, whichever faith we belong to, celebrate other religions? Much of that discourse ends up being very sort of syncretic, didactic, which is sort of very respectful of each other, and then concluding that, look, after all, we all teach the same thing. Now, at one level, we do. And that is that, when you look at, the idea of happiness, and you may variously describe it, but most religions will, well, all religions will want to facilitate, enable, teach techniques, training the mind or whatever that will lead to people's happiness. But at the same time, there is a fundamental diversity, a fundamental difference between faiths. And we need to recognize that difference, learn from each other, on what illuminates our respective faiths, and also that not to become spiritual tourists, in the sense that we go and take a little bit from here, a little bit from there, and put it all on our mantelpiece, and then have a new composite, and that is dangerous. You have been working in this area at Bloomington, and I'm going a little aside that when it's an important reference that when you mention Takstar Rinpoche, the center that you've taken over was really his baby, something that he founded and ran, and I think that's why His Holiness is very keen that you take it on, even though you twice politely were reluctant to get back into that kind of work. But staying with the interfaith issue, that what are some of the problems and challenges? If we were to stop being nice and say, well, it's all wonderful and everybody's coming together, what are some of the real challenges? And I will just give you one example that, working with His Holiness, that we came across in India. And as you might know, that His Holiness is very, very keen on the idea of secular ethics being introduced in schools. And, there are courses at Stanford that they have evolved. They've evolved a protocol that they're teaching. It's a credit course. And so he was very keen we do this in India. So we got together a group of religious leaders and said to them that, look, this is roughly what the protocol is, and what do you think? And there was a unanimous rejection of it. They felt that no. Somewhere they must have felt that they were threatened, that if we began to cultivate values in a manner that was independent of faith, what would happen to their faith along with other faiths? So what has been your experience? What do you find or feel are the greatest sort of obstacles to the nurturing of real interfaith, the celebration of its diversity?
This is a very important question Jila just gave us. So some other occasion, people also asking that. When you practice the interfaith program, what is the hardest thing? So the great thing we have lots of things. Later I will share some of them. But the most, biggest or the obstacle is if someone say, only my way is the way. If you think that's way, this is a little bit difficult. That's the most obstacles. That's a black your door. You can't get in. So maybe in Tibet, some Buddhists also thinking that's way too. Maybe that's if I'm still staying in Tibet, and the Chinese government never come, and we still practice that way, maybe I'm thinking that's way too. Because the only Buddhists can do and the others can't, or even we don't have any connection. We don't know what's going on this world. Now really we opened up, so we know everything. I don't know everything, but we try to, connect to everyone. So my saying is, if somebody say, only my way is the way, other way may be wrong, or maybe go to a different direction, that's really difficult. We have to work on this one. So I will make a little example, a little story I would like to share. So when we were in Bloomington, somebody came and knocked the door. And then we opened. Then right away, the couple is very wonderful people, older, very gentle. They bring some brochures and material. They said they try to teach us, the other religion. Then, because they're definitely, obviously, they're elder than us, so then we have to show the respect. We can't just say, oh, no, or close the door. We can't, right? So, we've been polite, smiling, and just yes, 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 like that. And then later, then he left. Then after a couple of days, knocked the door again. Then open door, then that's the same person. Then we invited them in, come in, and we sit down, and they talk. You have to be, that's tradition, otherwise you're in difficulties and so forth. Then finally, then we said, we're kind of very obvious. We're wearing that kind of robes. That's really difficult to, change and everything. We greatly respect. In our altar, you can see. That's I'm truly, I would like to share. In Bloomington, after His Holiness handed over the center to me in 2006, then one of the important message he said, you have to encourage and practice the interfaith practice. So that's why in our altar, very special, of course, Buddha is the main person there, but both sides, we have different religious, sacred objects there. So that's no problem with us. Then I mentioned that too, but they said, well, okay, but you have to be. So then later we became kind of a closer friend. Then we said, what's the matter? Then asking him, said, you are going to hell. Oh, I see. Maybe not. So, then his concern is if you're, then he also have a concern. If you're not going to, if I can't convert you, maybe I have a problem. Maybe I'm going to hell too. So then I say, well, I understand your situation, but that's way a little bit hard. So I always thinking the interfaith, different practice. We all have the same goal. Our goal is metaphor. We're climbing a high, maybe Himalaya, maybe that's Mountain Everest, maybe. So we pick different directions. We take this direction. We take this direction. The final goal is we're going to meet on the tip of the mountain. So that is our goal. So we have a different direction, we have different experiences that finally will meet together, which is great and goodness and harmony and compassion, loving kindness and so forth. All the language, all the term, all the practice, all same. So when you climbing, then while you have different experiences, maybe you have a little bit obstacles, maybe you have smoothly go through those places. That's only our own practice, only our own experiences. We can't use this as obstacles. I always say that's Buddhism or religion, all religion as a wonderful thing. If you use that religion as your practice, you bring the goodness to the society, to your personal, that's great. Whenever you use that religion as a tool for your some special goal and gain your some kind of purpose, that's not really a good reason. So, in fact, different religions, we have lots of differentiations, of course. But we also have lots of similarities there. So I have a dear friend who is, unfortunately, he passed away. He's a Catholic brother. So the brother, he always said that I'm a Catholic Buddhist. So I don't know about that, but so that's really, he always said that. So we have, he come to our teaching all the time. Then we invited him to our different ceremonies. Then he also invited us to their mass and different things. We went there too. So then we find out to have lots of similarities. Then at the result, for instance, like several big important similarities. So the Catholics and the Vajrayana almost have similarities there. So that's one person that's earlier in early 1800 or 1700, they went to Tibet, they said, in this book he mentioned. So he wanted to convert some Tibetans there. Then at the result, it doesn't have any good results. He didn't do anything. Then in fact, he went to a monastery, he saw those ritual practice, and then said, I don't need to do anything. This is a different form of Catholic. So then he come back, they said. So anyway, we have lots of similarities to that. Then the Mahayana and the Chinese and Korean tradition, Japanese tradition, and that's Protestant has similarity. You know, that's a simplicity and the altar is simple. I went to Europe and visited some great church, and I had a great disappointment there. Before was a Catholic church. After the Protestant take over, they, you know, like repainted those walls and everything, like become the simplicity. So, for instance, so lots of similarities there. One thing I would like to share, that's Muslims. I don't know, Muslim people, they practice something, they don't have, they have to wash, right? They don't have water. Maybe they use a stone or something to clean their hand or something. Buddhists do that too. So one of my teachers said, that's tradition from Muslim. So that's why we have lots of similarities there. We should practice together. Obstacles we have to serve these obstacles. Yeah.
I just sort of share, for those of you who may not be aware, that His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, has done a wonderful commentary on aspects of the Bible, a book called Good Heart. And if that's an area that interests you, it's a book that we would strongly recommend. And before I open the whole up to, and lest I forget, this is a wonderful book by Rinpoche, Surviving the Dragon, and copies of the book are on sale outside. The floor is now open. We have about 20 minutes, and so if you will raise your hand, and I believe there are somewhere, I can't see, a microphone should appear for you to respond to a question. Is that a question that I see there?
I would like to ask Blessed Arjia to tell them the story about how you got out, how you just made that airplane leaving China. It's a very exciting, scary story. Tell them what happened and why you had to go and how you got away.
Thank you. So I was on the way somewhere. I saw a movie on the airplane, which called Argo. So then I'm very excited, and I have to, go through all of the stories. So my story is not can't compare that, kind of Hollywood result, but something. Thank you just mentioned. So when I decided to leave, which is 1998, then because we had two Panchen Lama's reincarnation come up, and then of course the Chinese government appointed one. Then we're not happy with that, so we don't believe that. So then the hard thing is they asked me to be his tutor. So then I decided to leave. So then when I decided to leave, then how to get out the country, this is very difficult. Then I talked to my friend, said, that's a very dangerous choice, you shouldn't do that. Then finally, I talked to my friend, Christine. Then Christine said, okay, so lots of conversations. I have to make them very short. And then later said, the only place you can go, which is Guatemala. So then why Guatemala? Then I want to go to U.S. because U.S. more stronger. Maybe I ask a political asylum right away, then maybe more safety, so forth. Then said, you can't go there because you can't get the visa. So fortunately, I have a passport and everything, 5 of us. Then finally decided to go to Guatemala. Then I kept wearing this one. I'm wearing civilian clothes, not like your clothes too. So, but like businessman, like a tie and shoe, and I even had a little mustache. Then I wearing dark glasses. Then this guy has like a businessman, 5 of us. Then we talked to this airport. So only one airline can go to Guatemala from China, which is KLM. So directly can fly there. They don't need the visa because the reason Guatemala and China doesn't have a foreign relationship. So that's why they don't need a visa. You have to have an invitation from the other side, Guatemala. So I have a friend, Peter. He sent an invitation letter to us. So we have that invitation letter. And then we went to that tickets office and then says that, oh, there's the tickets available for tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow morning you will come. Then we'll give the tickets. Then tomorrow morning we try to leave. That's whole night I can't sleep. I'm so scared. If something happened, then that's whole life maybe in jail. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't tell. So, but I have to leave. I decided, right? So 5 of us, then 3 of us next morning supposedly directly go to the airport. 2 of us go to the office to buy the tickets. So next morning, big obstacles, big snow in the Beijing. We're trying to from the Beijing, China. So then we jump in the taxi, then we in the great traffic. We stuck there, and slowly going. Then 2 of us went to a city to buy the tickets. Then we calling each other, what's going on, what's going on. Then barely we get in airport. Then 2 of them went there, maybe afterwards they get there. Then we calling each other. And then finally they said, we have the tickets. And great, come. Then by the time almost 2 hours spent, so the airplane leaving around 11:40 or something, then almost 10:40 or something, then the great loudspeaker already announced that the people to Guatemala prepare to leave. So then we're leaving. At the same time, I'm so scared somebody might recognize me. Like I have a hat. I have to pull down a little bit. So then finally they came. Then they're great. Then we just leave, go. In the West, for instance, you travel somewhere, you have a passport, you have tickets, and then you just take off. So in China, no. You have to go through the checkpoint. That's the most dangerous thing behind you. So then how? I'm really, really scared. Then fortunately, because of that snow, lots of people stuck in that airport. Very big, crowded. Then the officials are very busy, in checkpoints, like, go first, quick, faster, like that. So that became a good thing for us. In Buddhism, always say that some obstacles will become a good, chance for your practice. So that's they call what they call the. There's a term, but I have forgotten anyway. So then I even have a diplomatic passport because I'm having a very high position since I was in China. So that's a diplomatic passport is very honored, very great. However, if you go through the checkpoint, they will find out right away. So that's a great dangers too. So then I put my passport in between our 5 people. That's the passport. Then we just sneak in. Oh, so scared. Lots of prayers. Then finally, because that's big crowded, then just stamped and just go. And finally, we went through that checkpoint. Then we will get in. Thank you. We get in that airplane. Then another scary thing. So when we sit on that airplane, the door never closes. The door keep opening. The music's on. Then in my mind, all the bad movies starting. So the police came and they try to catch us and everything. Then I thought, now in a bad situation, maybe they already find out. So then we're staying then just with prayers, lots of things we ask the protectors. So finally, after 40 minutes, So some people stuck in traffic, they're waiting for the passengers. When they come, the doors close, then we take off. So that's from China. Then after 2 days, we get in Guatemala, I had another obstacles. When we get there, so they so-called landing visa. We get this landing visa right away, very smoothly. Then we went through this checkpoint, and then go to the next point. There's a military controlling this country. We don't know that. So some soldier came and they just stopped us, and then they, like that, and then they definitely asking passports, and then we gave to them, they just take them away. So when they took them away, instead they sent some soldiers around us, then they sent some big dogs. So then, at that time, I can't speak any English. I can't speak Spanish, of course. Then they're saying lots of things. Then we know they want some money, but how to do the bakshish, I don't know. So very dangerous. Oh, lots of prayers again. So finally, after that's almost like 11 nighttime, 11 p.m. So after 1 hour, finally they came and they kind of hopeless, they can't get anything from us. They give us the passport. Finally, we get in Guatemala. After 2 months, we get in the U.S. So that is my little story here. I would like to share. Thank you.
And another reason to buy the book, there's a wonderful photograph of Rinpoche with the mustache.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
For coming. I was hoping that you would talk about the wonderful work that you're doing in Mongolia. I know that in September you're going to dedicate your children's cancer hospital, and it's so great. Could you speak a little bit about that, and also about how your Buddhist principles are helping to bring compassion and hope to those suffering over there?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's really a great point. If you don't ask, that's I have forgotten. That's a big mission for me. I have to tell this one. So when I went to Mongolia, people have a confusion. I'm a Mongolian person. Are you born in Mongolia or? No. I'm a Mongolian descent from Tibet Plateau, from Tibet. So like, like Africans in America, like that. I'm a Mongolian in Tibet. So anyway, because of the political issues, I can't go back to my country to visit. And then 2006, I visited Mongolia. So when I visited Mongolia, it's a great thing. Then the free country, democracy, and everything. So then one thing, a little bit, kind of questioning me. Then after 90s, in Mongolia had the freedom, so the monasteries reopened. So they had barely had the 150 temples. So all the temples are kind of little conditions are a little poor, and they're doing lots of renovations and so forth. Then also I find out lots of Christian churches around there. So then I asked, they said they have 200 Christian churches there. Then last year I visited there, the monastery, Tibetan monastery, Buddhist Mongolian monastery is still the same. But the Christian churches are mostly like a Korean community and the Mormons there too. So they increased. Like now they have 600 churches around Ulaanbaatar. So that's a great thing. Then lots of monks are worried. They said originally we're Buddhist. We should be a Buddhist, Why does Christian churches come, Christian, missionaries come here and kind of converting us? So then, I said, maybe people have their own choice. Really, they benefit the society, they will follow. You can't stop. In fact, you should learn something from them. Maybe they're doing something great thing. That's true, because the Christian churches, one hand, they're, converting people and so forth. I don't know about that. That percentage is still low. 50% of them practice Buddhism. 30% is non-believers, then rest of them different religions. So that's, anyway, they're doing great things. Like they're building hospitals, they're building the schools, and they take care of the, orphanage, like that. So then we decided to have a little cancer care children's, center in the Ulaanbaatar. So that's became a great thing there. So lots of people supporting that. Then last year we started that. Then I'm doing fundraising for that too. So that's not really comparing other religion. No, I'm thinking we should do the interfaith practice. We should, shoulder to shoulder, we all work together. We have to learn the great things for the other religion. We have to benefit the society. So this is very important. So that's why the Cancer Care Center started last year. So whole together, is a 7 floors tall building. Then 50 rooms there, because the cancer, especially for the children, is a big number there. So that's really scary. Why had that problem? I don't know. They're telling lots of reasons, but I don't know which one is true. But anyway, they have lots of problems there. So the hospital today, sitting there, they can host just 10 to 15 kids. So they need 30 beds for the cancer victims. So then I'm doing that. So also I'm selling that book. You can buy more copies. You can read my, life story, and also the proceeds will go to the charity work. Thank you. This year we'll finish. Thank you.
This is an example of manifesting your bodhisattva.
Thank you.
Aspect, but talking about cancer, it's a predicament that we come up against a lot. That someone who isn't a part of, say, the Buddhist tradition, or believes in reincarnation, or believes in karma, and they get cancer, and they come to a teacher, and they say, "I am suffering from cancer. Why me?" Now, there is the sort of the technically correct answer, which is, look, this is karma, and it is manifesting your action. But what do you say to them? How do you handle a situation like that? Someone who doesn't believe in reincarnation. And it seems brutal to say at that level that, look, this is a consequence of your previous actions, even though it might really be so.
That's really, that's karma thing. We believe that way, but however, for that, I always saying one thing. So we say one of the practice they call the exchange one to another. So giving and taking, we call dongren. Dongren in English we say tongren or something, but anyway, that's a spelling thing. So giving and taking. So whenever you have something, you should give to others. Whenever they have difficulties, you should get it. So that's for the practitioner. That's a very important practice and very helpful. So whenever that person have difficulties, you should take it. Physically, you can take, but mentally also. So when we get that cancer, if you say, "Oh, why me?" Then more suffering, more difficult. Instead, say, we come to this lifetime, so that lifetime is limited. So when I have this kind of great disease, what can I do? Instead, I just say, everyone have the same kind of problem. Come to me through my problem, heal others' problem, and I will take this away. So if that way, so the practitioner, this is a great bodhisattva's practition, that we should practice that way. If you don't believe that's Buddhism, at least that can release your suffering. So if you think that's way, oh, why me, like difficult. If you think, oh, this is a great chance, everyone had that, so I have that problem here, so I would like to take others' problem to me through my body and heal it. I can think good things, I can say good prayers, and I can practice, even I can go and help them, even I'm a victim. So in that way, I guess that practice is the more meaningful and at least can release the pain. That's I'm thinking. So I will always.
It really is in the tradition that whose sort of highest aspirations you represent. It is a question of softening the sense of self, of me, mine, and if you start thinking of someone else's suffering, then your own sense of self diminishes. But you talked about how when you were in the aircraft and you were praying, right. And many of us sort of, not many of us, but many people, sort of who come from so-called rationalist traditions where reason and logic should dominate. What is the value of prayer? And how does prayer work? And how did you think it would work in your favor?
When I believe Buddhism, I guess definitely that really helps. So sometimes I say the mantras. So for instance, I say the mantra of Om Mani Padme Hum. That's the most important one, the mantra of compassion. So Om and the Hum, holding that body, speech, and mind. Inside has Mani and the Padme. Mani means like a jewel, which means like wisdom. The Padma is the lotus flower. Lotus flower is the compassion. Compassion, and that's a jewel, which is wisdom. So that is the whole Buddhist teaching. The Buddhist teaching can include those two words, compassion and wisdom. So that's Om Mani Padme Hum, body, speech, mind, holding the compassion and the wisdom. So when I say that's a prayer, so that's a meaning, itself is very important. So when I say that's a prayer, which is the compassion, generating compassion, so we always need some kind of protector, yeah? So the protector, most important protector is the compassion. Once you have a compassion, they can protect you. If you have a great weapon or great shields or something, all of them, can go through it. So the compassion not. So that's why, for instance, that's prayer, very important for me. So when I say it, then I feel like really, protected. Even you might have this experience. You say this prayer all over and over and over. So then when you sleep, you have a kind of a nightmare or something like a dream, When you wake up with this prayer, automatically you're saying. So that means like you're mentally, you have this confidence that can protect you. So that's why, for me, this prayer is really important to me and they really help. Something happen, I say this prayer automatically, just like that.
One final question. I'm sorry I've been dominating this great teacher. Is there another question? Sir.
Yes, Arjia, many blessings.
Thank you.
I asked this, I have learned so much. This is very educational. So my question is on that basis, out of interest. I've heard you speak of great respect for the fathers, for the masters. What's the role and what is your perception of the mothers of the Buddhist monks?
So the Buddhist monks, the mother is come first, actually. Mother is come first. So we say that all great mother sentient being, then very beginning we say that it's 4 measurable prayers. So may all great mother sentient being have a happiness and its causes. May all great Mother sentient beings release their suffering and its causes. So we say that's prayer all time. So that's why the Mother's very first, the beginning. If no Mother, then no sentient being. So then even Tibetan Buddhism, Buddha is an enlightened being. Historically, he's there. But there's no female being. Maybe they might have, but historically we couldn't find it. Then we almost create one. We call Green Tara. So the Green Tara is a female representative for Green Tara. So that's stay there. I almost say that, but somehow I have forgotten. So we say two prayers. One is the compassion prayer. That is the Avalokiteshvara's prayer. That's very powerful. That's the Father. Then the Mother's prayer is Green Tara's prayer. Om Taridu Tariduri Soha. I almost say those two prayers all the time. The Mother, why Mother is very important. When I was born from Mother, so the great compassion, great loving kindness, not really all of them from teacher. That's most of important principle, very beginning ones from Mother. So that's why the Mother is very, very important. So we think all sentient beings, all female sentient beings are our mother, and male sentient beings are our father. We practice that way. There's a little cultural thing I would like to share too. So culturally, especially in the Eastern culture, the man is greater than like a woman. That's correct, but we do that. So very interesting story. So when Lama Tsongkhapa getting older, then students ask him to how to find his reincarnation. Then he said, no, I don't want the reincarnation. My reincarnation became a position. Okay, that's called Ganden Chiba. So then that academic system, so whatever who have that great knowledge, then he will hold my chair. So then he doesn't want the reincarnation. There's no reincarnation. Anyway, his students will try to find his disciples' reincarnation, then His Holiness Dalai Lama and Panchen Lama, all of them his disciples' reincarnations. Even try to find his parents' reincarnation. Then I'm his father's reincarnation. Then also they find his mother's reincarnation called Arjia Rinpoche today in India. And fortunately, both of them become men. Today, his mother's reincarnation is men, because that is mentally, we're thinking man is important. That's not correct. But the regional, personal, that's mother is most important than the at the least the beginning. We always say that's mother sentient being first. So thank you. That question is very good. Okay.
Well, Rinpoche, could you lead us through the last sort of three minutes with you in this context, in this space, through a closing meditation?
Thank you.
Perhaps you could lead us into a visualization or a chant, maybe Om Mani Padme Hum from your words will be a great blessing, or whatever you consider appropriate.
Okay, so I will say 1 minute silent. After that, then I will say prayers and to close our session.
So we'll do 1 minute of silence.
Thank you. Chunji Magi Kundo Garai Zosan Jiji Wela Jen Tuji Jenji Rola Zi Jenri Zilai Janzalo Om Mani Padme Hum Om Mani Padme Hum Om Mani Padme Hum Om Dari Du Re So Ha Om Dari Du Re So Ha Om Dari Du Re So Ha Chanjo Samjo Rinpoche Ma je ba nam je jo re je wa nyam ba me ba yang gong ne gong do be wo re jo.
Thank you, Rinpoche. We learn as much from you, from who you are, as much as what you have shared with us. We're deeply blessed.